In this video, I will show you and teach you the absolute basics when you enter Blender and you download it for the first time. So, imagine you just open Blender and then you see this. I will literally teach you everything, like all the basics you need to know. So, this is Blender 4.2, and when I open Blender, there's always this default cube. So, now you're going to be like, how do I navigate around the viewport? So basically, it's very, very simple. You can do middle mouse button to orbit around an object when it's selected. So if I select this, it will orbit around that object. So just right click and move your mouse like this. And then if you want to pan around like this, shift and then right click, then pan around like this. And then that is literally it. That is the only way. And lastly, of course, we can zoom in and out, okay, with the middle mouse button. Now, and another trick I want to tell you, if you are lost in space, and let's imagine that you have selected the object, you can just hit the delete button, and then it will literally make you go to the object you selected. Now I'm going to quickly show you the viewport and everything here. So on the top right, you have the outliner. So basically, it shows you everything, every single object in your scene. So right now, we only have 3 objects in our scene right here: the light, the cube, and the camera. And if we select it here, then it will be selected over here as well. Now down here, we have the properties panel. So this is like the properties of the objects and the scene. I will go through that like in another video. And over here, we have the tools bar. I'm going to show you some shortcuts to do and figure this out. And down here we have the timeline, and it's used to like animate stuff. Now over here we have the different workspaces. So the layout, modeling, sculpting, UV editing, texture, paint, shading, animation, rendering, and so on. But most of the work will be done in the layout mode. So now I'm going to tell you how to add different objects instead of this one old default cube. So first of all, to delete an object, you can select it and press X and then delete. That is how you delete an object. Now as you can see, this red thing over here is the 3D cursor. So this is where when you bring in an object into a scene, this is where it will go. So to add an object, to bring in the menus tab, if you do Shift A, this will bring in the add menu. You can literally add everything. You can add a camera, a light, a empty, an image, an armature, lattice. You don't need to know what's everything, but to add shapes, you go into mesh, then you will see these shapes. Now over here, these are from add-ons, but this is without add-ons, okay? To add add-ons, I will show you how to do this in a later video, or in this later in this video. So if you want to add a UV sphere, you notice that we added a UV sphere here, and it got imported to the 3D cursor. Now to move the 3D cursor, there's 2 ways to do this to move the 3D cursor. You can select the cursor section, the toolbar here, and then you can move the 3D cursor by left clicking like this. Or you can just do Shift and then right click. And let me move this over there so you can know I'm doing the shortcut Shift right click. So if I do Shift right click, you can see I can move it anywhere. So I'm going to move the 3D cursor there. Then I'm going to Shift A, and I'm going to add a cone, and you can see that we added the cone where the 3D cursor is. Now that is how we import objects into the scene. Now how do we move them, scale them, rotate them? Now there is shortcuts to this, and the shortcuts are actually very simple to remember because they are abbreviated. So to scale an object, just press S, and then you can just drag up and down. I just pressed S, and as you can see, it's scaling up and down. To move it around, we just press G to grab, and you can move it around like this. And then you can press R to rotate. You probably can't see it properly. If I do it on this cone, you can see I can rotate when I press R. If you do double R, you can tumble rotate, and you get this full arrow thing. So now we have done that. Now if we select an object and we press right click, we get this little menu, and most of the time we just use it to smooth the objects. If you press shade smooth, it will smooth the object, and you can do this as well, like that. and the cone is normally doesn't smooth out, so it's probably going to be auto smooth like that. So that is how we add objects. Okay, now what I'm also going to tell you is about the camera. Now, the camera is when we like make some animations and videos. Okay, so to go into like camera view, very simple. You just press 0 on the numpad, and remember it's on the numpad. It doesn't work on the normal keyboard. It needs to be on the 0 on the numpad, and if you press 0, it will go into camera view. Now if you want to move with the camera, because if you try to move with the camera, it just moves out like that. To move with the camera, you have to go over here, open this, you see this arrow, drag it out, and then you will see these little tabs here. Select view, and you can select camera to view. Now you can move the camera how you would move in the viewport, like that, and you can place the camera around any object like that. And now then you have to deselect that. Now you can move out. And another way to move around with the camera with the WASD keys, if you do shift and then the key on top of tab, you can move with WASD, and then you can press E and D to move up and down like that. It is that simple to move with the camera. So that is the absolute beginner basics you need to know. The last thing you should know is that you can move on different axes as well. So if I press, you can see that the green line is the y-axis, the red line is the x-axis, and if I move like this, if I select this, you can't see the z-axis. Obviously the z-axis is invisible, but the z-axis is always like straight, like over here. So to move in a specific axis, for example, I'm going to select this. If you press G and then Y, the object will move in the y-axis like this. And then if you press G and X, the object will move in the x-axis, and then G and Z, it will move on the z-axis. And as you can see, the z-axis is right there. So that is it. And the last thing I want to tell you is the different modes. Over here we have the wireframe mode. As you can see, it's going to be the wireframe. Very self-explanatory. And then we have the solid view, the normal view you usually get. And then the material preview mode. Now the material preview mode is when you add colors to it, but right now our shapes and objects are just white. And then this is the rendered viewport mode. This is how it will look like when you render the image. Okay. Now, lastly, I'm just gonna tell you how to add color because this is looking very rubbish. So we go to this material properties. Okay. In the material panel, when you have the object selected, material properties, and you select new. When you select new, you can just come over here and change the color, and that is it. And that is how we add a color, and you can change this as well. Change this color to like blue, like that, and it's that simple. I hope you understood the basics of how to use Blender, and if you're new to Blender, I have lots of videos to show you how to make awesome stuff. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it to anyone who's new to Blender. So I'll see you in another video.